The left-wing media have found their new comedy hate figure. The Daily Mirror's front page today, there it is, screamed food bank slur. Tory MP, the poor can't cook. An outraged Lib Dem raged to the paper. These comments are disgraceful. Labour said the statement was beyond belief. And you know what? The lefty media pylon has actually continued on TV all day.
Conservative MP has caused controversy after suggesting people use food banks because they can't cook properly.
To have a Tory MP say that they don't know how to budget, that's an insult. And to have that kind of language and rhetoric coming out, it's just so degrading and it's not fair on the people we all seek to represent.
People need to stop relying on food banks and learn how to cook and learn how to budget. One wonders if Lee Addison's ever been to a food bank, because it's not just about food, it's about an awful lot of needs and a community coming together as well, isn't it?
Still to come on Good Morning Britain, a Tory MP is slammed as being out of touch after he claimed people only need food banks because they don't know how to cook or budget for meals.
The Conservative MP for Ashfield has been criticised for his comments while talking about food banks yesterday in Parliament.
This is the point where you say you don't agree with him. That was a ridiculous, crass thing for him to say, and he needs to apologise.
Yeah, in fairness, I have said I don't agree with him.
No, that's not what you need to say, Kay. It got worse in the newspapers. The Guardian stormed today. Tory MP blames food poverty on lack of cooking skills. The Independent went with Tory MP refuses to apologise for common sense claim food bank users can't cook properly. Of course, all those claims are actually provably untrue. The MP in question, former Labour councillor turned Tory Red Wall MP for Ashfield, Lee Anderson, was making an important and sensible point about how we can help those in need. Before you make a snap judgment based on all of those headlines, I actually want you to watch the full exchange in the House of Commons that sparked this confected outrage.
The invitation is to everybody on that side of the House. Come to Ashfield and work with me for a day in my food bank and see the brilliant scheme we've got in place, where when people come now for a food parcel, they have to register for a budgeting course and a cooking course. And what we do at the food bank, we show them how to cook cheap and nutritious meals on a budget. We can make a meal for about 30 pence a day, and this is cooking from scratch.
Should it be necessary to have food banks in 21st century Britain?
I thank the honourable gentleman for his intervention. He makes a great point, and this is exactly my point. So I invite you personally to come to Ashfield, look at our food bank, how it works, and I think you'll see firsthand that there's not this massive use for food banks in this country. We've got generation after generation who cannot cook properly, they can't cook a meal from scratch, they cannot budget. The challenge is there. Come, I'll offer anybody. You sat there with glazed expressions on your faces, looking at me like I've landed from a different planet. Come to Ashfield, come next week, come the week after, come to a real food bank that's making a real difference to people's lives. And I'm going to end now, Mr Deputy Speaker, because, they're not listening. These are a generation of MPs that never listen. But the good news is, well, it's bad news actually, because this Labour Party, they're out of control, they're out of touch, and thankfully, they're out of power. That's me done, Mr Deputy Speaker.
So there you go. Firstly, can I just say, no wonder trust in the media is at an all-time low in this country. The gross misrepresentation of what Mr Anderson said is shameful. Let's just look at that Daily Mirror front page again. So you've just heard the comments. That front page is a flat-out lie. Mr Anderson never said the poor can't cook. But what he is saying is that one way to avoid food poverty is to help all Brits by providing basic cooking and budgeting lessons, important life skills that so many now leave school without even a basic understanding. This was not a discussion made with even a hint of malice. In fact, this issue is a passion project of Mr Anderson's, whose local food bank in Ashfield has run schemes to help folk learn how to cook on a budget. Before the issue hit the headlines last year, Mr Anderson was one of 4 MPs who attended an event at Nottinghamshire School to show that it was possible to feed a family of 5 for 7 days for £50 24p with the right information and ingredients. Something, by the way, he had had to do personally as a single parent of 2 boys for 17 years. Surely we want food banks to help those who use them to find ways to become self-sufficient. Hand up, not a handout. as the old saying goes. So all the disgraceful media coverage of Mr Anderson's comments does is terrify other MPs into silence around such an important issue.